Your life is shaped not by the problems you face, but by how you respond to them. Every day, challenges come in all forms: unexpected bills, difficult relationships, career setbacks, or moments when things just don't go your way. The people who get stuck focus on what went wrong, they focus on the obstacles, and they let frustration take. The people who succeed, the people who grow, do something entirely different. They train their minds to look for solutions, to see opportunities where others see barriers, and to act with clarity and purpose. Focusing on solutions is not just a strategy, it's a mindset. It changes the way you approach every situation. It rewires your brain to move past obstacles instead of being consumed by them. When you train yourself to focus on solutions, you start noticing possibilities, alternatives, and answers that were invisible before. Problems no longer feel like walls. They become pathways to progress. Every challenge becomes a chance to improve, to learn, and to achieve something meaningful. The power of focusing on solutions is that it puts you in control. Complaints, excuses, and blame keep you stuck. Solutions put the control back in your hands. They give you clarity, direction, and the ability to take action immediately. You stop wasting energy on things you cannot change and start directing all your effort toward what you can influence. Over time, this mindset transforms not just the way you solve problems, but the entire trajectory of your life. By the end of this video, you will understand how to shift your perspective, how to observe rather than complain, how to break problems into manageable steps, and how to consistently train your mind to see opportunity in every challenge. This approach is practical, actionable, and powerful. It will help you tackle difficulties with confidence, make smarter decisions, and turn obstacles into stepping stones for success. The moment you adopt this mindset, you start living differently, thinking differently, and achieving differently. Number E, the power of perspective. Problems don't define you. Life will constantly present challenges, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when problems appear in front of you. But the truth is, problems themselves do not define who you are or what you are capable of achieving. You have the power to decide how you respond, and that choice will shape your results far more than the problem ever could. A problem is simply a situation that requires your attention and action. It's not a statement about your worth, your intelligence, or your ability to succeed. Every person you admire, every individual who has achieved something remarkable, has faced problems that seemed insurmountable. What set them apart was their perspective. They understood that problems are temporary, that they can be analyzed, and that a solution exists if they are willing to focus on finding it rather than dwelling on the negative. The moment you begin to see problems as temporary obstacles instead of permanent setbacks, your mindset shifts entirely. You start to understand that the problem does not control you, your response does. This shift in perspective gives you control over your emotions and your actions. Instead of reacting with frustration or fear, you approach the situation with clarity, curiosity, and determination. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, but an active participant in your own life. This is the first step toward turning problems into opportunities. It's important to realize that the way you look at a problem influences how quickly and effectively you will solve it. If your focus is on how unfair, large, or overwhelming the problem seems, you drain your energy without producing results. That energy is wasted on negativity, worry, or self-doubt. But when you choose to focus on solutions, your brain begins searching for ways to overcome the situation. You begin to see options that weren't obvious before. You start asking yourself questions like, what can I do right now to improve this? And what resources do I have that can help me solve this? These are the questions that produce results. A powerful part of this perspective is understanding that problems are not unique to you. Every person, no matter their success, faces difficulties. No one achieves anything significant without encountering obstacles. The difference is that some people see problems as defining moments that limit them, while others see them as challenges that strengthen them. When you adopt the mindset that problems do not define you, you take ownership of your life. You accept that while you cannot always control what happens, you can control how you respond. You can control whether the situation breaks you or makes you stronger. You also begin to notice that many problems have multiple solutions, but it requires you to maintain a calm and focused mind to see them. When you react emotionally, you cloud your judgment and limit your options. But by viewing the problem as something external to your identity, you create space to think clearly. You allow yourself to explore different strategies, seek advice, and evaluate outcomes. This approach doesn't just solve the problem. It trains your mind to approach future challenges with confidence and composure. Another important aspect of perspective is recognizing that not all problems are within your control, and that's okay. Some things happen that you cannot change no matter how hard you try. The people who succeed are those who focus on what they can influence and redirect their energy toward action rather than frustration. They understand that worrying about things outside their control only wastes time and energy. By focusing on solutions, you position yourself as someone who takes action and creates results, regardless of the situation. Perspective also affects how others perceive you. People are drawn to those who handle problems with clarity and calmness. When you maintain control and focus on solutions, you become someone others trust and respect. Opportunities begin to appear because your ability to navigate challenges demonstrates reliability, competence, and leadership. You are no longer someone overwhelmed by difficulties. You are someone capable of producing results. It's critical to practice this perspective consistently. Every time a problem arises, remind yourself that it does not define you. You are more than any difficulty, more than any setback. You have the skills, intelligence, and determination to root through challenges and create the outcomes you desire. The more you reinforce this mindset, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, handling problems becomes second nature. Instead of fear or frustration, you experience curiosity, focus, and determination. This perspective transforms your entire approach to life. Problems stop being obstacles that hold you back and start being challenges that propel you forward. You see that each problem carries a lesson, an opportunity to grow, and a chance to improve your skills and decision-making. With this mindset, problems are no longer threats. They are opportunities for progress, innovation, and personal development. When you fully internalize the idea that problems do not define you, you shift from a reactive approach to a proactive one. You begin to anticipate challenges, prepare solutions, and act with confidence. Life no longer surprises you with frustration or fear because you have trained your mind to see every problem as temporary and solvable. This is the mindset that leads to consistent success, personal growth, and resilience. Ultimately, the power of perspective lies in understanding that the situation is separate from you, and your ability to respond is what truly matters. Problems are not labels on your life. They are signals that require action. By maintaining focus, composure, and determination, you transform problems into steps toward achievement. You take ownership of your response, control your mindset, and create a foundation for lasting success. Every problem you face becomes a training ground for strength, intelligence, and perseverance. And the person you become through this process is far more important than the problem itself. When you live with this perspective, no problem can limit you, define you, or hold you back. You step into life with confidence, clarity, and a sense of purpose. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, think smarter, and act more decisively. You understand that your potential is not determined by your problems, but by how you choose to face them, solve them, and rise above them. Every day, you can reinforce this mindset and watch how it transforms the way you approach your life, your work, and your goals. Problems are part of life, but they are not your identity. They do not define your intelligence, your character, or your ability to succeed. By maintaining perspective and focusing on solutions, you take control of your life and position yourself for consistent growth, achievement, and fulfillment. Every problem faced with clarity and action becomes an opportunity to prove your strength, sharpen your mind, and advance toward the life you are capable of creating. Number R, shift your mind. Look for answers, not excuses. The ability to shift your mind and look for answers rather than cry. Excuses is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. Too often, people spend their energy justifying why things cannot happen, why situations are unfair, or why they are not in control. That mindset is exhausting and it produces no results. The moment you take responsibility for seeking solutions instead of making excuses, you begin to see change happen in your life. It starts with understanding that excuses are simply ways of avoiding action. They are mental blocks that keep you trapped in a state of stagnation. Every time you tell yourself, "I can't because of this reason," you reinforce limitations that aren't permanent. Shifting your mind means actively questioning your own thoughts when they lean toward excuses. Instead of accepting limitations as facts, you ask, "What can I do about this? What steps can I take right now to improve the situation?" This simple change in thought process transforms your approach to challenges. It puts you in a position of control and forces your brain to look for practical, achievable actions. When your focus is on answers, your mind becomes a powerful tool for creating change rather than a factory for producing. One of the most important steps in this process is honesty with yourself. You must be willing to recognize when an excuse is masking inaction. Sometimes it feels safer to blame circumstances, other people, or even your past. While it's natural to notice obstacles, dwelling on them prevents growth. By taking a clear-eyed view of reality, you see what can be influenced and what can be improved. This clarity is the foundation of effective problem solving. You acknowledge the facts without assigning unnecessary blame, and you move toward action. A crucial part of looking for answers is asking the right questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" or "Why can't I succeed?" you ask, "What can I do to change this? And who can help me create a solution?" These questions shift your focus from frustration to action. Your mind begins scanning for opportunities, resources, and strategies you might not have noticed before. The more consistently you ask these types of questions, the more your brain becomes conditioned to see possibilities rather than obstacles. Another aspect of shifting your mind is reframing challenges. Problems are rarely one-dimensional, and often the way they are presented to us makes them seem larger than they really are. By training yourself to focus on what is actionable rather than what is negative, you break problems into manageable parts. Each step forward, no matter how small, builds momentum and creates confidence. That confidence reinforces the habit of seeking answers rather than excuses, and over time it becomes automatic. It is also important to recognize the influence of your environment on your mindset. Being around people who constantly complain, justify failure, or blame circumstances makes it more difficult to adopt a solution-oriented mindset. Surrounding yourself with individuals who approach challenges with clarity, responsibility, and a focus on action reinforces the habit of looking for answers. Observing how others overcome difficulties can inspire practical strategies and help you internalize this way of thinking as a natural approach to life. Taking responsibility before seeking answers from others is another critical skill. It's tempting to wait for someone else to fix a situation or provide guidance, but the most effective solution often starts with your own initiative. When you actively take responsibility, you demonstrate to yourself and others that you are capable of handling challenges. That sense of ownership empowers you and accelerates progress because action comes faster than waiting for external intervention. When you commit to looking for answers instead of excuses, you also develop resilience. Challenges that once felt intimidating become opportunities to test your skills and adapt. Each time you face a situation and focus on actionable solutions, your confidence grows. You start to trust your own ability to handle difficulties and to navigate complex situations. That trust is a critical element in maintaining momentum, even when circumstances are challenging. This mindset also improves decision-making. When your focus is on answers, you begin evaluating situations more clearly. You weigh options, consider consequences, and plan actionable steps instead of reacting emotionally. Decisions become informed, intentional, and productive. You move from a reactive stance where excuses and frustration dominate to a proactive stance where results are the natural outcome of your thinking and actions. Finally, shifting your mind to focus on answers cultivates long-term success. People who habitually make excuses tend to remain stuck in cycles of limited progress. Those who consistently seek answers become problem solvers who grow with each challenge. Every obstacle presents an opportunity to improve, to learn, and to strengthen your skills. Over time, this approach compounds, leading to not only tangible results, but also a level of personal growth that sustains success across all areas of life. When you train your mind to seek answers instead of excuses, you gain control over your life. You no longer let circumstances dictate your results. Instead, you actively shape outcomes through clarity, responsibility, and focused action. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities, stagnation into progress, and uncertainty into growth. By committing to look for answers, you position yourself to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Every day becomes a chance to practice this habit, and every problem becomes an opportunity to strengthen your ability to find solutions and move forward confidently. Shifting your mind to focus on answers also changes the way you respond emotionally to challenges. Instead of feeling frustrated, anxious, or defeated when difficulties arise, you start to experience a sense of control and purpose. You understand that while you cannot always dictate what happens, you can dictate how you respond. That realization alone is empowering. When emotions are in check, your decisions become clearer and your actions become more effective. You are no longer driven by stress or fear. You are guided by logic, responsibility, and a focus on progress. Consistency in this practice is key. Every time a challenge presents itself, you consciously remind yourself to look for solutions rather than excuses. You begin to notice patterns in your thinking where excuses used to dominate. Over time, that conscious effort becomes automatic. Your brain naturally shifts to searching for ways forward, for practical steps you can take immediately. This creates a feedback loop where each successful action reinforces the habit of solution-focused thinking, making it easier to approach future challenges with confidence and clarity. Another important aspect is patience. Solutions are not always instant, and not every problem has a simple fix. The mindset of seeking answers requires persistence and dedication. You might need to test different strategies, adjust your approach, and learn from outcomes that aren't perfect. That process is not a sign of failure. It's part of effective problem solving. Each attempt refines your skills, deepens your understanding, and strengthens your capacity to handle larger challenges in the future. It's also essential to embrace learning as part of this approach. Every problem provides information about what works and what doesn't. Every difficulty you navigate adds to your experience, making you better equipped to handle similar situations later. By focusing on answers, you transform challenges into learning opportunities, and that knowledge becomes a powerful tool for growth. The person who consistently looks for solutions develops expertise, wisdom, and confidence over time. When you surround yourself with a mindset focused on answers, you amplify your progress. Observing how others tackle challenges, hearing their strategies, and applying their insights allows you to expand your own approach. Collaboration becomes more effective because everyone involved is oriented towards solutions rather than complaints. The energy in your environment shifts from frustration to productivity, and that atmosphere naturally encourages proactive thinking and constructive action. It's important to note that seeking answers does not mean avoiding responsibility. In fact, it requires more accountability than making excuses ever could. You are fully aware of your role in the situation, your influence over outcomes, and your responsibility to act. This ownership creates a sense of empowerment. You are no longer a passive participant in your life. You are actively shaping your circumstances and outcomes. That shift from passivity to action is transformative. Finally, adopting a mindset focused on answers improves not only results, but also personal confidence. When you see yourself solving problems consistently, you internalize the belief that you are capable of handling anything life throws your way. That belief fuels further action, enabling you to approach challenges that once seemed intimidating with calm and clarity. Over time, your capacity to solve problems and achieve goals grows exponentially because your thinking is consistently solution-oriented. Every day presents opportunities to practice this mindset. Every difficulty is a chance to reinforce your focus on solutions. With every problem approached in this way, your ability to navigate life's challenges improves. You begin to see that success is not just about avoiding difficulties. It's about how you respond to them. Those who succeed are not people who never face obstacles. They are people who respond effectively, act decisively, and seek answers relentlessly. By shifting your mind to focus on answers instead of excuses, you take control of your life, your actions, and your outcomes. You stop allowing external circumstances to dictate your results and start shaping your own reality. You build resilience, confidence, and skill while cultivating a mindset that naturally drives progress. Every problem becomes an opportunity to practice, learn, and grow. Every day becomes a chance to strengthen your ability to find solutions. This approach creates momentum, and momentum produces lasting results. When you consistently apply this principle, you will notice profound changes not only in the results you achieve, but in the way you experience life. Problems no longer feel overwhelming or paralyzing. You approach challenges with clarity, composure, and determination. You recognize that your ability to find answers is your greatest asset. And by honing that skill, you position yourself for continuous growth and achievement. Shifting your mind to focus on answers rather than excuses is a habit that, once cultivated, transforms every area of your life. It gives you control, builds confidence, and creates a path for progress that is consistent and sustainable. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to test your skills, to grow stronger, and to demonstrate your ability to take action. Your results reflect your mindset, and by focusing on answers, you ensure that those results are positive, productive, and aligned with your goals. Number 10, stop complaining. Start observing. Complaining is one of the most common habits that prevents people from making progress. It feels natural to voice frustrations, to point out what's wrong, or to explain why something isn't working. But complaining does nothing to improve your situation. It drains energy, clouds judgment, and reinforces a mindset of limitation. Instead of complaining, the most effective approach is observation. Observing means looking at the situation objectively, noticing details, understanding the facts, and identifying what can be acted upon. Observation creates clarity, and clarity produces solutions. When you stop complaining, you free up mental and emotional space to focus on what matters. Every complaint occupies energy that could otherwise be spent finding a solution. Complaints often make problems feel larger than they actually are, exaggerating obstacles and creating unnecessary stress. Observation, on the other hand, allows you to see the problem clearly, analyze it from different angles, and recognize potential opportunities. You begin to notice patterns, resources, and options that complaints would have kept hidden. Observation also trains you to respond effectively rather than react impulsively. When a problem arises, immediate emotional reactions can cloud judgment. Complaining amplifies these emotions, leading to frustration or indecision. Observing forces you to pause, gather information, and approach the situation logically. You learn to distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. By focusing on actionable details instead of venting about circumstances, you position yourself to make meaningful progress. Another advantage of observation over complaining is that it builds personal responsibility. When you complain, you implicitly place blame outside of yourself, whether on people, circumstances, or luck. Observation, however, encourages a realistic assessment of your role in the situation and the actions you can take to improve it. This mindset fosters accountability and empowers you to take steps that directly influence outcomes. It transforms challenges into opportunities to develop skill, judgment, and resilience. Observation also encourages learning. By carefully examining problems, you gather data about what works and what doesn't. You start noticing cause and effect relationships, patterns of success, and mistakes to avoid. Each situation becomes a lesson, and your ability to analyze objectively improves over time. This skill is essential because life will continuously present challenges, and the people who excel are those who can consistently extract lessons and apply them to future situations. The process of observation requires patience and discipline. It may feel tempting to vent, complain, or rush to conclusions, but taking the time to fully understand the problem is crucial. Observation is not passive, it is active and deliberate. It involves asking questions, collecting information, and examining circumstances with honesty. By training yourself to observe first, you gain a strategic advantage. You make decisions based on facts, not emotions, which dramatically increases the likelihood of successful outcomes. One practical way to apply observation is by documenting what you see. Writing down the problem, the factors involved, and potential solutions helps clarify your thinking. This act alone shifts your brain from a reactive state to a proactive state. Complaining keeps the problem alive without resolution, but observing provides a structure for identifying steps forward. With each observation, you become more skilled at analyzing situations, recognizing patterns, and choosing the most effective actions. Observation also enhances creativity and innovation. Complaints often focus on limitations, creating mental blocks that prevent new ideas. Observation encourages curiosity, exploration, and critical thinking. When you look closely at a problem, you see possibilities that were not obvious before. You start generating solutions that are practical, effective, and tailored to the situation. Over time, this skill becomes second nature, and you naturally approach challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Additionally, when you practice observation, you set a positive example for others. People notice those who respond to difficulties with calm, clarity, and focus. Your approach can influence colleagues, friends, and family, creating an environment where solutions are prioritized over complaints. This not only improves your outcomes, but also enhances your relationships and reputation as someone who takes action and produces results. Observation strengthens emotional control. Complaints often escalate stress, frustration, and negativity. Observing allows you to detach from immediate emotional reactions, evaluate the situation calmly, and respond thoughtfully. This emotional stability is critical for consistent success. Challenges no longer feel overwhelming because you approach them with focus and purpose. You maintain composure, think strategically, and act decisively, which ultimately leads to better outcomes and greater personal confidence. By choosing observation over complaining, you also accelerate personal growth. Complaining reinforces stagnation, while observing fosters learning, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. You train your mind to see possibilities, to extract lessons, and to act with precision. Over time, this habit transforms the way you approach life. Problems become opportunities to refine your skills, improve your judgment, and strengthen your character. When you consistently practice observing rather than complaining, you cultivate a mindset that naturally seeks solutions. Every challenge becomes a source of information, insight, and progress. Your energy is directed toward action rather than frustration. You develop resilience, clarity, and the ability to navigate even the most complex situations effectively. This approach ensures that you are always moving forward, growing stronger, and turning obstacles into achievements. Observation transforms problems into opportunities and complaints into action. By committing to observe, analyze, and respond thoughtfully, you take control of your life and your outcomes. You no longer allow frustration to dominate your thinking. Instead, you approach each situation with clarity, focus, and determination. Over time, this practice builds confidence, skill, and momentum, creating a life where solutions are the natural response to every challenge, and growth is the consistent result of every experience. Number 6, break problems into small, manageable steps. Breaking problems into small, manageable steps is one of the most effective ways to overcome challenges. When problems feel too large, it's easy to become overwhelmed, frozen, or uncertain about where to start. That feeling of being stuck can prevent any progress at all. But when you divide a problem into smaller pieces, it becomes clear, approachable, and solvable. Each small step is an action you can take immediately, and each action builds momentum that leads to results. The key is to focus on what is actionable right now, rather than trying to solve everything at once. Start by clearly defining the problem. Take the time to understand all the aspects involved. Identify what needs attention, what resources are available, and what limitations exist. By breaking the problem down into its components, you gain clarity and reduce the intimidation factor. Large problems often seem insurmountable because they are viewed as a whole. Dissecting them into smaller tasks allows you to approach them logically and with confidence. Each task becomes a building block towards solving the bigger issue. After identifying the components, prioritize the steps. Some actions need to be taken before others to create progress. Determine which steps will have the most impact first. This prioritization is essential because it ensures that your efforts are focused on what will move you forward most effectively. Taking action without a plan can lead to wasted time, energy, and resources. Small, deliberate actions aligned with priority create efficiency and results. Focus on one step at a time. Multitasking during problem solving can create confusion and reduce effectiveness. When you give full attention to a single step, you increase the quality of your work and the likelihood of success. Each completed step provides a sense of accomplishment that fuels motivation for the next step. That momentum is critical because progress, even small, generates confidence and builds a sense of control over the situation. Tracking your progress is equally important. Recording what has been done and what remains allows you to stay organized and maintain focus. It also helps you celebrate small wins, which are essential for sustaining motivation over time. When challenges feel continuous or never-ending, it's easy to become discouraged. Seeing tangible progress, even in small increments, reinforces that your actions are effective and encourages continued effort. Flexibility is another essential component when breaking problems into manageable steps. While the plan should guide you, it's important to adapt when circumstances change. Obstacles can arise, and solutions may require adjustment. Being flexible ensures that small steps continue to move you toward the ultimate resolution rather than causing stagnation or frustration. Adaptation is not a sign of failure. It is a demonstration of effective problem solving. Breaking problems into steps also makes it easier to ask for support when necessary. When you can clearly articulate the specific step you need help with, others can provide targeted guidance or resources. Asking for assistance becomes productive because it is focused on a tangible part of the problem rather than the overwhelming whole. This approach makes collaboration more efficient and effective, accelerating progress. A critical mindset to adopt during this process is patience. Some steps may take time to complete, and results may not be immediate. Each small action contributes to a larger outcome, and understanding this connection helps maintain persistence. When you focus solely on the end goal without appreciating the steps required, discouragement can easily set in. Recognizing that each action is progress helps sustain commitment and ensures consistent movement toward resolution. Breaking problems into small steps also reduces stress and increases confidence. Large, complex issues often create anxiety because they feel unmanageable. Tackling smaller components one by one shifts the focus from fear to action. Confidence grows with each step completed, reinforcing the belief that you are capable of overcoming challenges. Over time, this approach develops resilience and problem-solving skill, allowing you to face future challenges with greater ease. The habit of breaking problems into manageable steps extends beyond individual issues. It influences how you approach life in general. Challenges at work, in relationships, or in personal development can all be approached systematically. This method creates a consistent, reliable framework for addressing obstacles. By routinely applying this strategy, problem solving becomes a natural part of your mindset, reducing frustration and increasing effectiveness. It's also important to reflect on each step after completion. Consider what worked, what could have been done differently, and what lessons can be applied to the next challenge. This reflection reinforces learning and ensures continuous improvement. Over time, you develop not only the ability to solve problems effectively, but also the wisdom to approach new challenges with insight and strategy. In conclusion, breaking problems into small, manageable steps transforms overwhelming challenges into achievable tasks. It provides clarity, builds momentum, reduces stress, and strengthens confidence. Each step is an opportunity to act, learn, and progress. By consistently applying this approach, you cultivate a solution-focused mindset that naturally leads to success. Challenges no longer feel paralyzing because you have a clear path forward, and every action you take brings you closer to the resolution you seek. This method creates a pattern of deliberate, effective action that becomes a foundation for lasting achievement in all areas of life. Number one, train your mind to see opportunity in challenges. Training your mind to see opportunity in challenges is a skill that separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Life is full of unexpected events, obstacles, and difficulties. The difference lies in how you perceive them. When you approach challenges with the expectation of opportunity, your brain begins to automatically search for solutions, strategies, and advantages hidden within the difficulty. Every problem transforms into a chance to grow, improve, or achieve something you couldn't have otherwise. The first step in developing this skill is to consciously reframe challenges as opportunities. When faced with a difficult situation, instead of thinking about what is wrong or what could go wrong, ask yourself what can be gained, learned, or improved. This mental shift is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate choice to focus on what is actionable and beneficial, rather than what is limiting. By practicing this consistently, you train your brain to instinctively search for opportunity. Even in the most complex situations, opportunity often comes in subtle forms. It may be a lesson you gain, a skill you develop, or a connection you make that would not have happened without the challenge. Recognizing these opportunities requires awareness and attention. When you slow down and observe carefully, you start noticing possibilities that others overlook. That skill grows over time and becomes an automatic part of your thinking. Challenges become a kind of guide, pointing you toward growth and progress rather than causing frustration or fear. Another important aspect is embracing a mindset of curiosity. 4. When challenges arise, approaching them with curiosity instead of resistance opens doors to creative solutions. Asking questions like, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can this situation help me grow?" trains your brain to focus on solutions and possibilities rather than obstacles. Curiosity encourages exploration, experimentation, and innovation, all of which increase your ability to turn problems into opportunities. It is also essential to manage emotional responses when facing difficulties. Fear, frustration, and stress often obscure potential opportunities. By cultivating emotional awareness and control, you allow your mind to operate clearly and rationally. Calm observation and thoughtful consideration reveal options that might otherwise be hidden by panic or negative thinking. Emotional resilience enhances your ability to see beyond the immediate problem and recognize pathways forward. Taking consistent action is a natural extension of seeing opportunity in challenges. Opportunities are not just ideas, they require implementation. When you identify a possibility, even a small one, act on it immediately. Action creates momentum, reinforces the mindset, and often leads to additional opportunities that were not visible initially. The process becomes self-reinforcing, Recognizing opportunity leads to action, which generates results, which further trains your brain to see opportunity in future challenges. Developing this skill also involves learning from past experiences. Reflect on challenges you have faced before and identify how they led to growth, lessons, or new opportunities. By analyzing past difficulties, you reinforce the idea that problems are not permanent barriers, but stepping stones for progress. This reflection strengthens your confidence, resilience, and ability to tackle future challenges with a solution-oriented mindset. Surrounding yourself with people who naturally see opportunity in challenges amplifies your own skill. Observing how others respond to difficulties, learning from their approaches, and discussing potential solutions encourages your brain to adopt similar habits. Being around solution-focused individuals creates an environment where challenges are approached strategically and optimistically rather than with complaint or despair. This environment supports Vijayite can also strengthen this ability. Picture challenges as gateways to progress. Imagine the steps you could take, the skills you could gain, or the outcomes you could achieve. Visualize it primes your mind to recognize these possibilities in real situations. By practicing mental rehearsal, your brain becomes trained to automatically scan difficulties for potential opportunities, making real-life application faster and more instinctive. Finally, understanding that every challenge has inherent value reinforces the mindset of opportunity. Even when circumstances are tough, there is always something to gain: knowledge, strength, perspective, or skill. Accepting this truth allows you to approach difficulties proactively rather than reactively. Each challenge becomes a teacher, each obstacle a platform for growth, and each problem a chance to improve your capability, confidence, and resilience. By training your mind to see opportunity in challenges, you transform your approach to life entirely. Problems no longer create fear, stress, or paralysis. They become invitations to learn, grow, and act. This mindset produces consistent action, clear decision-making, and continual progress. So, over time, it becomes a natural way of thinking, and your ability to navigate life's difficulties improves dramatically. You not only solve problems, but also turn them into advantages that accelerate your growth, success, and fulfillment. When you focus on solutions instead of problems, you step into a mindset that creates progress, growth, and success. Challenges will always be a part of life, but they no longer have the power to hold you back. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity to act, to learn, and to grow stronger. Complaints fade, hesitation disappears, and your energy is directed toward action that produces results. Success is not about avoiding problems. It's about responding to them with clarity, responsibility, and determination. Every step you take toward a solution strengthens your skills, sharpens your judgment, and builds confidence. Over time, this approach becomes a habit, and habits shape the trajectory of your life. Problems become temporary, and solutions become your focus, your strength, and your path forward. By committing to this mindset, you take control of your future. You no longer wait for circumstances to change or for someone else to provide answers. You become the one who sees possibilities, acts decisively, and moves steadily toward your goals. Life responds to those who act, those who seek answers, and those who refuse to be defined by obstacles. Carry this mindset with you every day. Train your mind to see opportunity, break challenges into manageable steps, and respond with action. Your ability to focus on solutions will determine the results you achieve, the confidence you feel, and the life you create. Challenges will come, but with a solution-focused mind, nothing can stop your progress. The choice is yours, and the power is in your hands.